I didn't make this graph, but it is available online. But it highlights what all biblical scholarship would say. Now, they would say we have what is called an embarrassment of riches. This is what scholars mean when they say embarrassment of riches. It means that we have so many copies. It's incredible and shows the authenticity of the gospel message being preserved for over 2,000 years. So let me go ahead and I'm just going to pop this one up. I'm going to share my screen here with you, Sam.
All right.
And there we go. All right. So what we have here is we have some early documents, and we have the author, we have when it was written, we have the date of the earliest copy, we have the approximate time span between the original copy and when we find the first copy of these, how many copies we have of these writings, and how accurate all of these copies are to one another. So when we take a look at this, now I'm not going to mutilate these names that we see on the text. So I'm going to read the easy ones. we've got Pliny and Plato. You see AD 61 to 113, 427 to 347. Earliest copy is AD 50, AD 900. This is 750 years from the time it was first written. 1,200 years from the time it was first written. But nobody says that they don't agree that Plato's writings are Plato's or Pliny's is Pliny's, right? And even if we go down, we've got Caesar, we've got Livy, we've got Tacitus, and even Tacitus, AD 1100, 1,000 years after it was written, we start to find the copies of Tacitus. And we only have 20 copies of them.
Before you move on, brethren, listen to what he just told you. And I'm not going to cut him. I just want to reiterate his point. Notice what he said about Tacitus. He wrote around 100 AD. The oldest copy is 1,000 years after when he wrote. And there are only 20 copies of his work. And yet scholars do not question that Tacitus said X, Y, and Z. You understand what he's saying? If scholarship will appeal to the writings of Tacitus, and we only have 20 copies of what Tacitus wrote, and the oldest copy is 1,000 years after he wrote, but they still have confidence that those very few manuscripts do give us what Tacitus wrote, maybe not every detail. Watch what he's going to tell you about the New Testament. Keep that in mind. So I just want to hammer that so they understand what you're doing. Go ahead.
Yep. And before we go down to the New Testament, let me just scroll down slowly. Now we have Homer. Homer is 900 BC, and the earliest copy we find is 400 BC. This is 500 years. Now we have 643 copies, and it comes to be about 95% accurate of all of these actual things. This is probably one of the greatest finds in human history that we have within 500 years, 600 and some copies and 95% accuracy. People like historians, they love that. Like, this is something that they would love, this type of statistic. But just 1 second. If you think that's good, wait 1 second. The New Testament. So the New Testament was written around 50 to 100. And the earliest copy we have is around AD 130. It is less than 100 years. We're looking at around, if we take the longest route, we're looking at 80 years between when they're written and when we find the earliest copy. That is less than 100 years, everyone. Remember, we were just up here with Tacitus, 1,000 years. He only had 20. But as Brother Sam said, there's no scholar that would say that Tacitus' writings are not Tacitus' writings. But when we go down here, less than 100 years, or roughly about 80, within 80 years, we have over 5,600. 5,600. And at a 99.5% ratio of it being the same. So the accuracy of the copies. Excellent. So as I said here, 99.5% accuracy of the copies. 5,600 copies, and they're almost 100% there, right? No mistakes. The accuracy is there. To me, this is something that is proof that we actually have what we say we actually have.
No.
So I'm going to get rid of this now. Now, a lot of people here, let me go continue into this as well.
And by the way, as he's going there, he just mentioned the Greek copies. Did you hear what? That's just Greek copies. Now, I don't know his presentation, but are you going to mention the versions or?
Nope.
Okay.
I do all of that in the
introduction.
Yep.
So go watch his series real quickly, and I'm just going to make this quick. If we count all the manuscripts of the books of the Bible in all the versions, not just Greek, we have over 25,000 copies. I'm not lying. Bart Ehrman admits this. Over 25,000 copies of the books of the Bible in all the languages. We have nearly 10,000 copies in Latin alone. So he's just giving you the Greek of the New Testament. So
yes.
Good, brother.
Yes, and that is correct, Sam. I was only given the Greek manuscripts of the New Testament, not the Latin or anything else. So what this slide indicated is that we have tremendous more New Testament manuscript copies than any other writer from that time frame or even before. And this is only the Greek. Daniel Wallace once said,
yep,
if you would stack all classical average work, it would be as high as a 4-foot podium. And if we took all of the copies of the Bible in every language, and if we would stack it up, it would be 4.5 Eiffel Towers high.
Yep.
That would be 6,600 feet tall. If we took all of the copies that we have in every language that we have, just imagine this, y'all. 4.5 Eiffel Towers high, 6,600 feet tall.
Yep.
Just imagine that. And to all of those manuscripts, yet Muslims claim the Bible is corrupted.
Yeah.
Come on now. Like, now you can see why we laugh when the Muslims make this claim. But with so many manuscripts, there does come a different problem. And this problem is called textual variance. So I do have one other
as you bring it up, what I'm showing you guys, this is the John Rylands papyrus. This is a fragment of John 18 on one side, verse 31, 33, on the other side, John 18, 37, 38. This is right here. You're seeing the image. This was dated around 115, 125 AD. This is a copy. I just want to confirm what he's saying to you. Right here, I gave you the link. This is a copy, a fragment, because they don't survive, but they found this fragment of John. Now, if this is dated 115 and it's a copy, that means the original gospel must be earlier, because you can't have a copy of the Gospel of John if it didn't already exist. So this actually pushed the date of John earlier, because up until this discovery, there are actually liberal scholars that are thinking John was a Gnostic forgery written in the 2nd century. When this fragment came out, that destroyed all those theories of those scholars who didn't know what they're talking about. Just keep that in mind.